Hello and welcome to another That's Just Wild Q&A, where we take on your burning questions about nature and wildlife. I'm Steve Backshall, and as always, I'm joined by...
Me, Lizzie Daly.
And me, Sarah Roberts.
Right, so first question is from Chris Smith via email. Hi Lizzie, Sarah, Steve. Hope you're all well. Seems whenever I get a question about nature, it's not Google, encyclopedias or ChatGPT that I think of first. It's now you three. He's called us scallywags. It's now you three scallywags.
You don't?
I'm here for that.
We've got a message from the 1800s.
By a pigeon. I was watching a repeat of Planet Earth today, and it occurred to me that whenever there's footage of predators, particularly pack predators, hunting something, they always seem to go for the animal's bumhole. You know what I said? Why is this? I thought maybe they were going for the tail or something, easy to grip, but no, they're definitely going for the chocolate maker.
Doing all right there, Liz?
I'm sorry for lowering the tone.
There is no lowering the tone where it comes to natural history. Unfortunately, animals do it for us over and over again. And it's a very astute observation because it's something that you would never hear Sir David saying in his voiceover.
No.
And now the wild dogs approach the prey, fire the bumhole. just not going to happen, is it? But it's absolutely something that happens. And simply for the reason that it's the easiest entrance to the body cavity. Yeah. If you watch any scavenger heading for a carcass, that's where they're going to go. And, you know, they may even wait for a particular different species of vulture that has the strongest possible beak to be able to get in, because the others just won't be able to get through skin, fur, feathers, scales. You know, it's really hard to get into the interior of an animal for a reason. We protect all our hardest bits with as much, you know, armament as we can. I have to say, I have seen this happening myself with Cape hunting dogs. We were filming them for Deadly. We saw them taking down an antelope, and that is how they did it. So we were filming Cape hunting dogs, also known as painted dogs or African wild dogs, taking down I think it was a Thompson's gazelle, and that's where they went. This is a moment where if you've got youngsters, you may want to just give them a couple of minutes break, not to listen to this bit, because it's the most gruesome thing I've ever seen in my whole life, because the animal was alive and its insides were outside, and it was still running to get away, and they were still feeding on it. Yeah, and it lasted for a long time. You know, the animal was still alive. You know, nature is cruel. It's really, really cruel. And that is the place that they're going to access it. You know, I have countless hours of camera trap footage of carcasses that we can never show because all of the animals are going in through, you know, Satan's entrance. And so it's kind of, you know, it's completely unusable because it is so graphic and so grim. But yeah, it's just pure and simple that is the softest, easiest place to access the interior of the body.
But ecologically, it kind of also makes sense as well, right? If you were to target an animal that had eggs, you know, those gonads or their reproductive organs are also really rich in fats. You know, you see it also with orcas eating the tongues of whales as well, right? Because it's fatty, it's rich, it's something you can easily access. So as weird as it is, it's kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah, I should say as well, it's not omnipresent. This isn't what always happens. What a predator is going to do is going to go for the thing that incapacitates the animal quickest.
Yeah.
So that could be the Achilles tendon. It could be the throat. It could be an ear. It could be the tail. You know, they absolutely do grab a hold of tails. Anything they can get a hold of that is going to bring that animal down as quickly as possible and allow them access to the tasty sweet meat as quickly as possible. Now, for you, Sarah, this next question is from Harry UFO via Insta. I'm guessing that that's his handle and that isn't his baptized name. If it is, well done. Well done, Harry's parents.
Is writing from a UFO?
And the question goes, why does Australia actually have so many mental animals?
Okay, so Australia has been isolated for over tens of millions of years, which means that they didn't have them mix in with all the Eurasian animals and the ones that we see on this side of the pond. And it also means that those animals on that huge island were largely isolated. So that gave birth to all of these crazy animals that we only see in Australia. So 80% of the mammals that you see in Australia, you won't see anywhere else in the world. So you've got your duckbill platypus, you've got your wombats, you've got those little quokkas that are like the most photogenic, beautifully cute little creatures that you see all over Instagram, which are essentially like miniature kangaroos. And all of those have happened because they've had so much time isolated away from anything else, and because Australia has so many different ecosystems within it. So you've got like distinct temperate zones, you've got deserts, you've got tropical rainforests, you've got temperate rainforests, you've got mountains, you can even go skiing in Australia. It's crazy. So because of that, you have all of these animals that have had to adapt to their own ecological niches, and then they've done that in their own distinct individual ways. Also, the mammals that have placentas, so like most of the mammals that we see in the rest of the world, they didn't find their way to Australia for quite a long time. It was mostly mammals that lay eggs, like your platypus, or mammals that have pouches, like your kangaroos or your wallabies or your sugar gliders. So they just look so wildly different from anything that we have here in the UK. And I guess you could say that's kind of mental. I mean, I'm leaving off all of the crazy snakes and venomous creatures that I'm sure you can chip in on.
Well, I mean, it's very much the same thing. You know, these animals have evolved in isolation over deep time. There are situations where you have things like the very most venomous creatures have evolved in situations where they need to kill their prey super quick, because otherwise it's going to disappear off a burrow and it's going to be miles away before they can feed on it. So they need to get it done and get it gone over with as quickly as possible. They've all probably evolved from a common ancestor that was also super venomous there, as you say, evolving in isolation. And wherever you find that same situation, the Galapagos, the Madagascar, New Guinea, you get these animal oddities, and they evolve in enormous amounts. You get huge amounts of endemic species that occur there and nowhere else, and they're the kind of places that we tend to go to the most, right? Because they're the most interesting,
the wacky and the wonderful, really.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so the next question is for you, Lizzie, and it's from Jacob via Insta. Hi, that's just wild. Love the podcast. I'm fascinated by the Tuatara's third eye. What exactly does it do, and how rare is this feature among other animals? Are there any mammals or other creatures that have anything similar, or is it totally unique to reptiles like the Tuatara?
Okay, so I'm guessing this is in reference to us talking about Tuatara in one of the previous episodes. So for anyone who doesn't know, Tuataras are epic. They're really, really cool. They are what I think are the modern day mini Godzilla. Fair? Yeah. Can you please input like a scene from Godzilla here now? But they're absolutely awesome. They live in shallow burrows, or they utilize and dig shallow burrows. They have kind of a short, stouty face, and they are quite long-lived, a slow metabolism. They're just a really cool reptile, and you're absolutely right. On top of their head, they have what looks like a third eye, and if you were to look at it in an adult, it would be like a bit of translucent skin over what looks like a third eye. But essentially, it's not acting in the same way that their eyes are, that our eyes are, but it is picking up information about light.
So it still has receptors in it?
It does. It still has those nerve connectors. It still has a retina and a lens, but it doesn't act quite in the same way. It's more about learning about the environmental cues, kind of mainly to do with light, to do with change from day to night, to do with season, to do with temperature as well, which is really important for the Tuatara. How they got that was a lot of their earlier ancestors actually also had a third eye.
A real working one?
No, so it worked in a similar way, from my understanding. It actually is like a massive photoreceptor, essentially. And the question's really interesting here is because they asked about mammals and in us, and the equivalent of that would be that we actually have a gland called a pineal gland, thank you, in our brain, which essentially is really important for understanding light cycles.
When you started talking about us, the equivalent being us and third eyes, I was thinking you were going down a whole different rabbit hole then.
I am going through my spiritual phase. No, but it's the equivalent, right? We use that to be able to understand, night and day, and it's really important for melanin production as well. And so it's essentially the equivalent of a third eye in a Tuatara. But no, we don't have a physical photoreceptor on our heads. Mammals never really have, but in those early reptiles, they would have had something similar.
You still see it today in things like iguanas. It's quite evident. It's nothing like as developed as in Tuatara, but you have a pineal. The other name for it, and I have to admit, I can't pronounce this, but I think it's parietal. And yeah, I mean, but they are pretty much the difference between light and dark. And I guess the main reason for that is that you imagine an animal that's living up in the treetops, having a bird fly over your head, a bird of prey go over your head, you get that shadow as it passes over you, and that's a good reason to scarper. So that could be one of the reasons why it's hung around. And you have the pineal in so many different animals, but as you say, you know, the developed kind does not appear to have ever been there in mammals.
Yeah, I'd love a third eye. Just saying.
That's your quote for the day.
For ad-free listening, our newsletters, special deep dive episodes, and members-only benefits, you can subscribe to us at that'sjustwild.com.
Okay, guys, our last question today is one for us all to answer. Question from Megan Parnell via email. Afternoon, huge fans of all of you guys. Your podcast is amazing. You've had so many incredible encounters with wildlife. Which moment changed the way you see the natural world the most, and why? Go on, Steve.
I've got a lot of potential ones that I could go for, but I would say that every single encounter I've had with intelligent marine mammals where they've sought out my presence and wanted to interact with me, and the things that it's taken to get to that place are the things that I think have most transformed my interactions with animals in the natural world. The number one thing that I've always learned is that if you are underwater and you want to swim with dolphins, you do not swim with the dolphins. You swim towards them, they're gone. They're gone and they want to come back.
It's true.
Likewise, you want to swim with seals. I was out just a couple of weeks ago with my kids off longships in Cornwall. And the first thing I said to them was, do not swim at those animals. Do not even look at them. Yep. You hang exactly where you are, look like you're having fun. And the next thing you know, one is going to be coming up and it's going to be playing with you. And that is what happened. And having a big grey seal nibbling on my toddler's toes and swimming around them, that is life-changing. That's the kind of thing that, you know, reignites my passion for the natural world, seeing it through my youngsters. But I can remember the first time it happened to me. And my intellect is saying, just don't go after them. Don't try and make it happen. Don't try too hard. You've got to hang back. You've got to ignore them completely. Turn your back on them if you can, because they're intelligent and they'll want to figure you out. But you swim into their personal space and they're gone. And using that same very, very simple psychological trick with intelligent animals has enabled me to have encounters that have lasted for hours with sperm whales, orca and humpback whales, even blue whales. And that is life-changing. That is something that sets you on a path that you are never going to veer off, because nothing comes close. Having a giant, intelligent animal that has been around the planet for 50 million years, choosing to seek out your company and play with you, is the most life-affirming thing that will ever happen to you. And every time it's happened, I've got out of the water and I've gone, I'm giving my life. I'm giving my life to the whales.
Love it.
What about you guys?
In terms of things that have shaped my life from the natural world, I had an experience when I was in Africa, and I was working on a game reserve at the time, and we had an eland, which is like the largest antelope species, that had just been brought to that game reserve not very long before, and it died. And we didn't really think much of it at the time. We were actually going to stick it out by the waterhole to stick a camera trap up and see what crocs were going to come and what vultures. And it was just before we did that, we opened the eland up to sort of, you know, just take its guts out and make it a bit more appealing for the animals in the local area. And when we did that, we found this huge piece of plastic that was all entwined through its gut and into its stomach, which I think would have probably been wrapped around the bales of lucerne that the animals will get fed in that area of the world when it's a dry season. A bit like the plastic that you put around hay bales. And I think for me, having actually already written my first kids book, which was Somebody Swallowed Stanley, which was all about plastic pollution in the ocean. And
it's great, by the way.
Yep, available now. But having gone round a load of schools and just really mostly focused on marine plastics, and then gone to the middle of the bush, so far away from the ocean, and then just seeing this animal that for me just felt so completely unrelated, to then see, oh God, it's a problem here too. And that just reiteration, I think everywhere I go, everywhere that I've guided or I've worked in field research, just seeing unrelenting human impacts in the natural world for me has kind of shaped the career path that I'm on, and it's sort of led me down the environmental journalism side and the books and the going into schools, and it's the part that's like the driving force. I absolutely love any kind of unexpected wildlife encounter, the same as you're saying, Steve, and I think that the two combined, and you probably get a bit of this, the two combine, that reiteration of, oh God, our natural world kind of needs us, but also how amazing is it? I think it's like it's kind of like the petrol, isn't it, for the fire really, that keeps you going.
I'm actually going to share a story from Kenya when I spent 3 months on the ground trying to write my PhD proposal and learn about the issues with human and elephant conflict. And it was the first time I've ever been in a translocation of an elephant. And this beautiful male, I was there for the whole process with the NGO. Essentially what they do is in areas of high conflict with people, they'll move elephants away from the issue. And it's not really a solution, but it's a good short-term solution for those who need to have their crops protected. I didn't know any of this. So I was there for the whole translocation, elephant upside down. It was a whole ordeal, tens of people. Only for like a week and a half, 2 weeks later, how's that elephant getting along? He's literally just walked all the way back because that's what they do. They have home ranges and they have instincts. And for me, it was this light bulb moment where I realised if I want to be in conservation and work in wildlife, I have to go beyond just wanting to know everything there is about elephants. It has to be more complex and consider the human side of it, because that's the world that we live in now, right? It's a very mixed and complex story when it comes to the future of conservation. So that was a big turning point for me, for sure.
Well, that's fascinating. Should we bring that to close?
Touche. And that's it for this week. No, that is really it. That's all we've got time for this week. So please send your questions along to questions@that'sjustwild.com and we'll answer them on the show. That's Just Wild is an original Fresh Air production. The producers are Eva Higginbotham and Emma Crampton. Your support is really welcome. You can follow us on your favourite podcast app. Leave us a review. It makes all the difference to the whole team. And for ad-free listening, our newsletter, deep dive episodes and members-only benefits, you can subscribe to us at that'sjustwild.com. Remember, we are on the moon, in space, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, Facebook, and you can find us at That's Just Wild Pod.
Thanks for listening. See you next week.